right, man. Talk to talk. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, man. Good morning, man. Good morning. Good morning. All right, man. So today we're gonna be talking about Puff Daddy's indictment, man. Look, man, and this is coming from Judge Joe Brown, and he's gonna go through what this stuff means. You know what I'm saying? And because I see a lot of people, I wanted to wait before I did a reaction or talk about it because I know a little bit about this stuff, but I don't really know too much. But I seen people talking about it, and they going all crazy over this whole thing, right? With Diddy. But I think Judge Joe Brown, he breaks it down about what all this stuff really means and some of these things really mean. And y'all gonna be surprised about how certain things that they're saying to Diddy is kind of like either it was the first time this happened or whatever, but y'all gonna be surprised of some of the stuff he says. This is good. This is good here. So look, we're gonna get into that. Let me get my spill. This is Torture Talk. Good morning, good morning. Like, share, subscribe to the page. Hit the thumbs up button if you like the content. All the single, sexy, beautiful ladies, put one in the chat. All the fellas, y'all know where to find the ones at. Just don't harass them. I don't sell no merch, but I do have content that's absolutely free. But if you want to donate, you can. Cash App, PayPal's in the description. Thank y'all so much for all the donations. I really appreciate it, man. You know what it is. They call me the Hidden Gem. 1,300 subscribers to almost over 10,000. You know what I'm saying? I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I want to get up and dance, boy. I'm feeling good. You know what it is. So look, man, let me know where you're from. We're going to get to this clip, man. I ain't going to do too much talking. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, let's get to it, man.
That's what I'm saying. This is where you go to right now. This is what's dangerous about federal law. Somebody has done something in one part of the country, and it has not touched anybody on the other side of the country, but some hotshot U.S. attorney in some district decides to go make a point and go after somebody. This was like Wesley Snipes got indicted in a district in Florida that he had never set foot in his entire life.
So,
see, it happens.
And the U.S. attorney, the man we just saw in the press conference, Damian Williams, he is the U.S. attorney for Southern District of New York, nominated by President Biden in August 2021, and confirmed the United States Senate October 2021. It says Mr. Williams is a chief federal law enforcement officer for the district. So yeah, he was appointed by the Biden administration.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm nervous about. I've been doing this for 50 years. I think the first federal case I had where I tried it, I was representing the defendants was 45 years ago. So I did it a lot. But here's what's bothering me. And I pointed it out several times when we talked about it. He had a property on the West Coast and a property in Florida, but the property in Florida had two mansions on it. They were right next door to each other, literally. They only searched one of them. And then we're talking about KY jelly and baby oil. What the devil do you bring that out for when you're talking about a criminal matter? And
right.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, why are you bringing up baby oil? What does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything?
And I pointed it out several times when we talked about it. He had a property on the West Coast and a property in Florida, but the property in Florida had two mansions on it. They were right next door to each other, literally. They only searched one of them. And then we're talking about KY jelly and baby oil. What the devil do you bring that out for when you're talking about a criminal matter? And
that doesn't sound criminal.
3 disassembled ARs in one property with one magazine of ammunition, maybe 5 or 6. Usually people have 8, 9, 10 30-round magazines for any type of semi-auto weapon. It's just what people do. One from
I have a quick question.
big deal, but they're making one out of it.
Right. Quick question. So they keep bringing up the guns. What if those guns it was registering his name? How can that be illegal?
Well, see, the problem is the prima facie illegality is the obscuring or erasure of the destruction of the serial numbers. That is a federal crime.
Okay.
Wow. So they're saying that he scratched the serial numbers off the guns. I don't know if that's what they're saying, but that's what they're saying right here.
So should I bring up the indictment?
The indictment, yeah, it's 14 pages and it's very clumsily written. It jumps between extreme detail and none at all, which is typical of a federal indictment. See, the main thing with federal criminal prosecutions is this: on a state level, you're entitled to all the information unless there are people whose lives are jeopardized by providing the information. You can get the names of the witnesses, their best contact number or addresses, what they're going to say, what the case is all about. And in the federal system, it's by ambush. They don't have to tell you a single witness. They don't have to tell you anything other than the bare bones theory of what kind of case they're talking about. The only thing you're entitled to get is statements of your own client, meaning the defendant, anything they seized from the defendant, a list of that. And if a witness testifies at trial, then you have 15, 20 minutes, maybe half hour to look over the transcript of what that witness testified to in front of a grand jury, if they went in front of a grand jury.
And this is why I say, this is what I mean by certain entities in this country is crazy when it comes to trying to how would I say this? Trying to convict you. And this is why they have such a high conviction rate, because they rig the system to where they win the game. No matter what. They win the game. Because look at what he just said. Basically, you have no rights when it comes to this stuff. Now, even though we might disagree with things that Diddy did, but he still has rights. You have to just be honest here. We could disagree. We could say he's a monster, but he still has rights. Let's keep it going.
And the worst thing in the world is trying a pristinely innocent defendant in a federal criminal case because you don't know where the hell they're going. I've had cases where we've gone to trial 2-3 times, and each time we found out more about the case by going through the trial that the feds wouldn't let us know. And we got partial not guilty verdicts and hung on the rest. And finally, I walked them after, say, trial 2 or trial 3. So them putting this information, I'm looking at it as, oh, they are doing something way wrong here. They're trying to build a political impression. And they're trying to keep this man in to keep his mouth shut so he doesn't tell on anybody.
I hate when people do that. Let the man explain. Why you keep trying to, like you ain't fully letting him explain so people can understand. Like you can keep trying to interject. Like, so wait, so all right, so let him finish. Well, keep it going.
Okay, so that's why they don't want him to get bail, and they want to keep him detained until
incognito. Yeah, and also why I think they alleged international influence, which brings in Homeland Security. When that comes into play, you can talk about security interests demand that the defendant be kept incognito, and the only person he can talk to is his lawyer on infrequent occasions. So
that's crazy. That's crazy. So you can't talk to nobody but your lawyer. That's crazy.
and keep him silenced. It's Biden did that with Eastland 40 years ago. So
I have another question. So where in this indictment, where do you want me to go and highlight real quick that you want people to kind of be informed on?
the witnesses they're talking about who are supposedly intimidated. How do you get unindicted witnesses at a sex show?
What
That's
page
what's
was that?
going on. See, they never said what this was all about. What I surmise from my experience representing people charged with this kind of stuff over the years, Mann Act stuff, is what they're talking about is women were procured along with male actors or participants for live sex shows like they used to have 50 years ago in San Francisco and other red light districts around the country. And they were putting this on in private mansions, and there were certain people that are being protected who were present for these performances where they could get their freak on. And you notice the multiple.
I knew it. I knew it. That's exactly. I knew that's what this was. I knew it. I knew it.
Occasions they mention Diddy masturbating while watching this. So if there are other witnesses, I'm sure he's not the only one doing something.
Yeah, it says here, victims believe they could not refuse Combs' demands without risking their financial or job security or without repercussions in the form of physical or emotional abuse. Combs also used the sensitive, embarrassing, and incriminating recordings that he made during freak-offs as collateral to ensure the continued obedience and silence of victims.
Yeah, not just the victims. What they're trying to do is protect the other person's presence.
Right.
Exactly. Listen, man, none of these people are your friends, man. I'm trying to tell you, they not agreeing with you. They not your friends, man. Don't act as if these people are moral. They're going after. No, these people are corrupt. They're crooked. They all crooked. They all corrupt. And I'm telling you, them doing this to him, not to say he's not a bad guy, because he probably is, but them doing this to him is much more deeper than what we saying. I'm telling you, it's crazy.
Members and associates of the Combs enterprise, including Combs' security personnel, at times carried firearms. On more than one occasion, Combs himself carried or brandished firearms to intimidate and threaten others, including victims of and witnesses to his abuse.
Yeah, you'd have it's kind of hard to find a high-profile Hollywood type star who does not have armed security sometimes.
So it says that Combs at times, or what says members and associates of the Combs enterprise at times witnessed Combs' violence towards the victims or the victims' injuries caused by Combs without intervening.
Yeah, that if that's true, that's inexcusable. All right, I get it. That started with that scene, which was stupid.
But is that a federal charge?
That's not federal unless you tie it in with federal activities, which is the Mann Act, which is what they got
Sean Combs.
Not Sean Combs, what they got.
Oh, R. Kelly.
R. Kelly on for the statute says transporting of females across state lines for illicit purposes. In today's parlance, that whole statutory scheme is suspect because guess what it does? It only deals with females being transported across state lines for illicit purposes. So it's essentially discriminatory based on sex. Now,
yo, that's crazy. What? Wow, that's wow.
That's one reason that it gets kind of weird. The female participants are listed as victims because of the way the Mann Act reads, which was 110 years ago. They were trying to get the black heavyweight champion, Jack Johnson, who had a white wife, and she used to take her white friend girls across with them. They crossed state lines. So racist America at that time thought it was very, very bad for this big black man that no white man could beat was going across the line with all of these very pretty white women. That was just no. And that was why you had the Mann Act. And that's why the FBI got created to bring about the Mann Act. So we transport that here, and you keep a defendant incognito or incommunicado, rather, while he's awaiting trial. That means you don't want him to say anything to embarrass anybody.
Well, so it says here, because
Wow, this is this is crazy. That's crazy. I didn't even know that, bro. I'm glad I looked this up.
Okay, so
we gonna learn today.
It says from at least in or about 2008 through on or about the date filing of this indictment, the defendant and others, known or unknown, being persons employed by and associated with Combs, described in paragraph 6 to 12 of this indictment, an enterprise engaged in the activities of which affected interstate and foreign commerce, knowingly combined, conspired, confederated, and agreed together and with each other to violate the racketeering laws of the United States. Title 18 United States Code Section 1962, that is to conduct and participate directly and indirectly in the conduct of the affairs of the Combs enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity as that term is defined in Title 18 United States Code 1961.
How many times, by the way, did they mention specifically RICO in this indictment?
None.
That's what I'm talking about.
But they're saying racketeering.
Yeah, but how many times did they say RICO in the press conference?
None.
No, yes, they did.
Oh, they did? Okay.
Yeah.
Multiple acts involving kidnapping, chargeable under the following provision of state law, California Penal Code. Multiple acts involving arson, chargeable under the following provision of state law, California.
What do they mean by? I wonder what they mean by arson. What do they mean by that? I know what arson means. I know what arson means, but what is arson like with him? Did he set something on fire? Like, I don't know. But what do they mean by that?
Multiple acts of bribery, chargeable under the provision state law, California. Multiple acts indictable related to tampering with a witness, victim, or an informant. This sounds like a drug cartel.
Yeah, informant, see all of
You're talking about the intent to distribute or distribution of narcotics, controlled substances, including cocaine, Oxycontin, meth, something.
Yeah, see, in other words, you'd think it is a drug cartel, but what they're talking about is just drugs at the party. See, back in the 60s and early 70s, when you went to a Hollywood party, there were heaps of cocaine on the coffee tables. There were other drugs, amphetamines, piles of them in candy dishes and stuff like that.
Right. So how is that a federal offense? You're getting high. It's casual. You're getting high.
Yeah, but you see, it's still against the law in the federal system, even though
even though I'm having a party and I have.
Yeah, drugs are illegal. It's still illegal. Like, the drugs are illegal. You can have it in your house all you want, but it's still illegal. The drugs are illegal. Like, you can't have dope in your house just because it's in your house.
Cocaine, everybody's using it.
That's a federal offense, technically.
So he wasn't drugging these people without their consent.
Yeah, but the way they worded it, see, ordinarily they would have in an indictment, instead of all of that laid out, very inflammatory language, they would just say during the course of this, the
They keep saying
defendant.
victims.
See how many victims do they have that one man can be victimized? You know, has he got a whole
Exactly.
household of people that he's got? I'm
And
gonna
how are
blow
you-
you away if anybody moves, you know.
How are you a victim when you are doing drugs yourself without him shoving it down up your nose? When you are engaging, you give consent. You giving consent. How are you a victim? Because he got mad at you for whatever argument and withheld a paycheck.
See, in other words, what you're talking about is the glamorized, what they've got him on for the violence is the glamorized game of the pimp. And what they are essentially alleging is that he was engaged in pimping for benefit of his clientele, his customers, or the witnesses who were there participating in or viewing what was going on. Remember, what you are getting described are live sex acts going on in various parts of a mansion while there was an extended party going on.
So let me read this part because it says transportation to engage in prostitution from at least in about 2009 up until 2024. Sean Combs knowingly transported an individual in interstate and foreign commerce with intent that the individual engage in prostitution and attempted, aid and abetted, and willfully caused the same, to wit, Combs transported, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused the transportation of female victims and commercial sex workers in interstate and foreign commerce on multiple occasions with the intent that they engage in prostitution.
Yeah. In other words, they're accusing him of glamorized pimping. And by the way, that's
you
what
need a groupie.
Like when I talk about sometimes when we're on the show and I talk about pimps ain't, you know, this is what pimping's about. The violence that you're talking about here, that they are alleging, is typical of what pimps do to their prostitutes to keep them in line. So they didn't say that, but that's about all that you would ordinarily get in a standard indictment when they're not trying to make a point of it, which is person engaged in pimping activities, and they wouldn't try to put in details like 1,000 bottles of lubricant and oil, baby oil. What the hell is that?
Yeah, what does that have to do with anything?
All right, man. All right, so y'all make sure, man, that y'all go check that out. I think it's called The Real Dana with Judge Joe Brown. A Real Dana, I believe. Yeah, man, go check that out. Yeah, that was pretty interesting stuff, man. I don't know what to make of it, because I'm thinking, like, at this point, we don't really know, because there's a lot of different things going on. And I want to do a whole episode on this, talking about what's happening with Diddy. I'm gonna do a lot of research on it, and I'm gonna do a whole episode on it. And I want to talk about just who's in the background of all this, because we're blaming Diddy, but everybody's focusing on Diddy. But I mean, if he was having these parties, well, who was the people he was having these parties with? That's the questions that I'm trying to find out. I'm trying to ask and see who was there. You know what I'm saying? Who was doing all this stuff? Can't have him at the head of the house and then everybody else gets a scot-free ride. Like, I don't know. So yeah, man. Good morning to y'all. 12 o'clock show's coming up. Y'all have a good morning, man. Go back to sleep, man. All right, man. See y'all. Peace. Bye.